I had a good eBay week last week. Good sales, good finds. I actually had my best single find item from my local Goodwill ever. My name's Andy and I resell items on eBay to supplement my income, and we'll get into all those good finds as we go through my top 10 sales from last week. Number 10 was this rust-free boot knife. I bought this at a yard sale for $3. I've never sold a knife before, but this was a good one for $3. It sold for $29.95 for a net profit of $16.23. Next was this Nike basketball jersey. It's a local jersey where I live, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is his name. And I bought this at Goodwill for $8 and it sold for $39.95 for a net profit of $18.88. I've been doing a purge lately. I've been getting rid of a lot of stuff, both personally and on my eBay business side. When I first started reselling clothing in particular on eBay, I would buy a lot of junk. And that was because I was listening to a lot of people on YouTube talk about how great Tommy Bahama and Vineyard Vines and the North Face all are. And don't get me wrong, you can find good items with those brands, but the majority of it's gonna be junk, or at least not worth the thrift store prices. But I know all this now, so I'm only buying good stuff from here on out. But the stuff I bought like a year or two ago that's been sitting in my death pile has all been donated to a local thrift store. So number 8 was this Olympus Pearl Quarter audio recorder, and I bought this at a yard sale last week for $1. It sold pretty quick for $34.90 for a net profit of $22.82. Number 7, if you've been following me for a while, you know I've been sitting on a lot of old Pokemon items, sealed items. This is one of them. It's a Hidden Fates pack. This was a very popular set. Nowadays, it still is, but it hasn't really gone up in value like I kind of thought it would. So I'm slowly selling it off. So this was just one single pack. I sold this for $49.95 for a net profit of $30.28. So pretty good on that one. And I needed a good week like this. I really did. In case you're wondering why, just go back and watch my last video. I made the biggest mistake I've ever made. It cost me a lot of money, so I'm trying to recoup some of that. And in this video, I think I did a pretty good job. So my number 6 sale was this 1993 Dodge Dakota service manual. This sold for $45.55 for a net profit of $31.29. And this was actually a free item. We've had this sitting around in the garage for a while that we got from somebody else, a whole stack of manuals, and this just happened to be one that was worth a good bit of money. There were a few others. A lot of them weren't worth really listing on eBay, but this one was. Speaking of free items, this week is my town's citywide yard sale. And normally every year we do a yard sale and make a couple $100 or whatever, but this year we decided we're just going to put everything out as if we're having a yard sale, and we're going to just give it away for free, because my theory is that if I go around to other yard sales that people are having, I can probably make more than a couple $100 doing that than I would sitting around all day dealing with people at a yard sale selling my items. So I was thinking about doing a video about that. If you'd like to see that, let me know down in the comments. So speaking of buying other people's items at their yard sale, I bought a stack of Wii games at a yard sale. They were $1 a piece. I don't always buy video games because I just don't know enough about it, but I do know that some Wii games are worth some money. And this one that came in my number 5 spot was one that I knew that was worth a little bit of money. So it was this Wii Sports. It was brand new and sealed in like the cardboard sleeve. This sold really quickly for $44.95 for a net profit of $32.20. Next was this Hello Kitty pillow pet thing. I don't know, I think it's got like a light in it or something. I bought this at Goodwill for $4. It sold for $59.95 for a net profit of $37.34. And I'm always looking for brand new items like this, really brand new anything that has value, because it's a lot easier to research, it's a lot easier to take photos of, you don't have to show all like the little details, and new items tend to sell a lot better. So something like this was a good pickup. Number 3 was an item I actually talked about in last week's video that I bought for $20. It was this Rawlings Clout baseball bat, and this sold for $110.85 for a net profit of $64.82. So I have quite a few Pokemon card binders where years ago when I was buying and selling Pokemon cards a lot, I was trying to put together sets of the modern sets. And I've since gone through and pulled out a lot of the best cards, and I either sent them to get graded or sold them as is just to make the money on them. But I left a lot of cards in there that really weren't worth money at the time, but now they are. So my number 2 sale for the week was actually a card that I found in my binder, and last time I looked it was worth maybe $15, and now it's worth a lot more than that. It's this Japanese Koga's Ninja Trick card, and this is just a notorious card because it was a banned card. If you look real closely at the symbol in there, you can see why. But because this card was banned, now it's worth a good bit of money. So this sold for $199.90 for a net profit of $166.30. eBay takes quite a bit of fees on some of this stuff. So there's certain brands of clothing that I'm always on the lookout for. Supreme, Flint & Tinder, Fendi, but I never find these brands at thrift stores. But that changed last week because I actually found a brand that I had never found before, and it was pretty good. It was this Arc'teryx jacket, and it was Flying Cross co-branded. I don't really know what Flying Cross is, but I looked up the item when I found it and saw that it was worth a good bit of money, and it turned out to be because it sold within 2 days for $360.94 for a net profit of $284.08. And I'd say that was a heck of a flip.